Deadpool can roast an entire franchise, break the fourth wall, and even crack a joke while losing limbs.
What the shit?
And yet we laugh every time. But She-Hulk? Well, some of her jokes feel like the writers left them in the oven too long.
I know, right?
So what makes Deadpool's sarcasm soar while She-Hulk's humor struggles to lift off? We're going to explore how Deadpool mastered the art of sarcasm while She-Hulk's jokes could use a little help. Stick around, this one's going to be fun. So let's start with our players. Deadpool, the self-aware, foul-mouthed anti-hero whose sarcasm could probably power a small city. And She-Hulk, Marvel's green-skinned legal powerhouse who's trying to juggle super strength with sitcom-like humor. First up, Deadpool. This guy's a walking joke factory, and he knows it. When Ryan Reynolds first donned the red suit in 2016, Deadpool wasn't just another superhero movie. It was a game changer. Imagine sitting down to watch a superhero flick, and suddenly the main character turns to the camera and says, "Hey, why are you still here? Go grab some popcorn." That's Deadpool in a nutshell. He's a sarcastic, fourth-wall-breaking maniac who's fully aware that he's in a movie, and he's here to make sure you know it too. His humor works because it's embedded in his DNA. His sarcasm feels like a natural extension of his cynical worldview. Deadpool's humor is also a survival mechanism. Remember, Wade Wilson didn't start as a wisecracking mercenary. He was a guy with terminal cancer, given an outrageous experiment that turned him into a mutant with regenerative abilities, but left him horribly scarred. So his sarcasm? Yeah, it's kinda like his way of saying, the world might be a dark place, but if I make enough jokes, maybe it won't seem so bad. Now let's shift gears to She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, had a lot of potential when she hit Disney Plus screens with She-Hulk Attorney at Law in 2022. The setup seemed perfect. She's a lawyer navigating the courtroom and superhero fights, a mix of Ally McBeal with a Marvel twist. Add in some humor and it should have been gold, right? But instead we felt like a comedian bombing at an open mic night. Sure, she's breaking the fourth wall, but instead of a sly wink at the camera, it's more like, "Hey guys, isn't this funny? No? Let me explain it again." The problem with She-Hulk's humor lies in its delivery. Jennifer Walters is a capable and smart character, but the show's attempt to blend humor with superhero storytelling feels a little disjointed. The jokes often seem forced, like they're trying too hard to remind you that, yes, this is funny, instead of letting the humor speak for itself.
You think this is funny?
It's like someone trying to tell a knock-knock joke but nervously stumbling over the punchline, while Deadpool would have kicked the door down and delivered a roast instead. Here's the kicker. Both Deadpool and She-Hulk break the fourth wall, but in very different ways. Deadpool's breaking the fourth wall feels like an invitation. It's like he's saying, "Come on, we're all in on this joke together." While She-Hulk, though, it's more like, "Hey, did you notice I'm talking to the camera? Isn't that cool?"
Oh, Ross, this is not good.
And that's where things start to unravel. So what exactly went wrong with She-Hulk's humor? And why does Deadpool get it so right every time? Let's build up on the story and see how these two characters, both hilarious in their own right, took such drastically different comedic paths. Now, how did Deadpool become the standard for superhero sarcasm? The secret lies in how his jokes land with perfect timing. He's not afraid to be edgy, he's not afraid to mock himself, and most importantly, he's not afraid to mock the genre he's a part of. The guy cracks jokes about the very studio that made him. Remember when he said, "Stewart or McAvoy? These timelines are so confusing," back in Deadpool 2.
McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing.
It's the kind of meta humor that resonates with audiences, creating a sense of connection. Deadpool is like that one friend who roasts you, but in such a clever way that you can't even be mad. She-Hulk, on the other hand, seems stuck between wanting to be funny and trying to remind us that it's okay to laugh. The humor often feels like it's placed there because the script said, "Okay, insert a joke here." Instead of feeling organic, the jokes are scattered throughout the narrative, often seeming disconnected from the storyline. And when you try to force funny, it shows. The audience isn't laughing with She-Hulk, they're chuckling awkwardly at her attempts to be funny. But hold on, before we completely bury She-Hulk's humor, let's get to the main event, where things really diverge. Deadpool's sarcasm is built on a foundation of irrelevance and quick-witted banter. His jokes never feel out of place because he's designed to be the joke. The beauty of Deadpool is that his humor isn't there just to make you laugh. It's part of his coping mechanism, part of his character's identity. When Deadpool's arm gets chopped off, he's not just going to wince, he's going to laugh about it while it regrows. That's the difference. Deadpool's humor feels natural, spontaneous, and often shockingly clever. You don't see the punchlines coming, and when they hit hard. Now let's talk She-Hulk. One scene that comes to mind is when She-Hulk makes a joke about Captain America's virginity. On paper, that's a great moment for a lighthearted, cheeky joke, but in execution, it fell flat.
See that ass? Like, that ass did not deserve to die a virgin. It's like so sad.
Steve Rogers is not a virgin. He lost his virginity to a girl in 1943 on the USO tour.
Why? Because the tone of the show hadn't quite settled yet. It was still finding its footing between being a legal drama, a superhero show, and a comedy. When She-Hulk tries to deliver a joke, it often feels like a setup that's waiting for a laugh track that never comes. The stakes are low, the delivery is off, and as a result, the joke feels out of sync with the moment. The brilliance of Deadpool is that even in the most intense, high-stakes moments, his humor feels like it belongs. When She-Hulk throws out a quip in a courtroom scene, it feels like we're being pulled out of the story to acknowledge the joke, instead of the joke naturally flowing within the narrative. So what happened next? Deadpool's style of humor took the superhero genre by storm. People loved the fact that he wasn't taking anything too seriously, and his meta-commentary on the superhero genre felt refreshingly innovative. After the release of Deadpool, fans found themselves craving that irreverence in the superhero narratives. People loved that he was a full-on, fourth-wall-breaking entertainer, and it felt like a breath of fresh air in a sea of serious caped crusaders. As a result, other movies began to experiment more with humor. Even the MCU leaned harder into self-awareness, taking notes from Deadpool's playbook. Just look at Thor: Ragnarok. The filmmakers embraced a comedic tone that felt vibrant and alive, elevating the story while keeping audiences laughing. Deadpool showed that superhero movies didn't always need to be grand, serious epics. They could thrive on wit and charm while still packing an emotional punch. But She-Hulk's humor didn't have the same impact. Instead of being seen as groundbreaking, it's mostly been viewed as a missed opportunity. The backlash wasn't just about the jokes themselves, but how they were delivered. Deadpool's jokes elevated the movie, while She-Hulk's often felt like they were dragging the show down. As a result, Deadpool has become the gold standard for how humor can enhance a superhero story. His character's sarcasm is so sharp, it cuts through the usual superhero tropes, offering a unique perspective that's both refreshing and relatable. Audiences feel like they're part of an inside joke with him. It's not just Deadpool being funny, it's Deadpool letting us in on the fun, creating a sense of camaraderie that keeps viewers coming back for more. In fact, the ripple effects of Deadpool's success are evident across the entire superhero landscape. The film grossed over $783 million worldwide, and its sequel pulled in $785 million, proving that audiences were hungry for more of his outrageous brand of humor. This commercial success has inspired a wave of filmmakers to take bolder risks with humor, blending genres in ways that were previously unexplored. The floodgates opened for characters who could deliver quick wit alongside dramatic stakes, paving the way for stories that didn't take themselves too seriously, but still resonated emotionally. She-Hulk, however, serves as a reminder that humor needs to feel organic, and that not every attempt at comedy hits the mark. Forced humor can backfire, especially when it feels like the jokes are trying too hard to make you laugh. Instead of being invited into the joke, we often feel like we're watching from the outside, unsure whether we should laugh or cringe. This has left some viewers questioning how future Marvel projects will balance humor and narrative effectively. So there you have it. In the battle of sarcasm versus sitcoms, Deadpool reigns supreme, while She-Hulk is still figuring out how to nail the punchline. If you enjoyed our comedic breakdown, hit that subscribe button, and remember, next time you're stuck in a serious moment, just channel your inner Deadpool, because who needs a serious face when you can have a sarcastic quip?